Okay, so this happened. If you guys haven't heard by now, the directors of the upcoming Han Solo anthology Star Wars movie have left the project. Phil Lord and Chris Miller were originally signed on in July of 2015. I remember hearing that announcement thinking it was awesome because they directed 21 Jump Street, which is probably my favorite comedy of the past 10 years. 22 Jump Street, which was almost as good as that, and the Lego movie, which had a ton of humor, a ton of heart, and was just a great overall movie. Pairing those guys with the young, fun energy of Han Solo sounded like a winning combination for me. I could not wait to see a young Han Solo movie directed by these guys. That was July of 2015. They cast the movie, they supervised script rewrites, they start shooting the movie in January of 2017, they're preparing for a May 2018 release, and now, with 3 weeks left in shooting the movie, they have left due to creative differences. That's what was originally reported anyways, that Kathleen Kennedy, president of Lucasfilm, said these guys are talented filmmakers, we just didn't see eye to eye, and then these guys are like, oh, we just didn't see eye to eye, like, that's that. And then a report comes out saying that Kathleen Kennedy, president of Lucasfilm, fired them because she hated their vision, and meanwhile, we're hearing things where it's like, she was, like, micromanaging them, and then they're saying, like, they wanted to make this radically different Han Solo movie. So it's such a weird situation that, again, they've been on this thing for 2 years, and they leave with 3 weeks left in production. They would have had to, like, help edit the movie too and everything like that, but 90% of the work is done. So now Lucasfilm has to find a new director to finish the movie? Like, I'm wondering if they're going to do, like, tons of reshoots and everything like that to kind of give it that director's stamp, if they're just going to scrap a ton of footage that Phil Lord and Chris Miller did, or if they're just going to, like, kind of do some rewrites and everything like that, push the movie's release date back. Like, it's such a bizarre balancing situation. It reminds me of, like, I mean, Josh Trank, director of Fantastic Four, was originally signed on to do a Star Wars anthology movie, but he was taken off before that movie was even announced, like, what it was, what the premise even was, before it was starting to be written, before they even cast anything. So that was a different situation. With such little time left in the making of this movie, I'm honestly baffled, and I'm kind of worried about the Han Solo movie now. If they do use the footage that was shot by these guys, then I feel like it's just not going to mesh with whichever other director comes in to take over this franchise. The other issue, other than them leaving and the creative differences being abundant maybe in the final part of the movie, is what director's going to come in and finish the movie. Because the Deadline's right now reporting that Ron Howard, director of Apollo 13 and A Beautiful Mind and a few other things, is the frontrunner to direct this movie. And I think that's interesting because Phil Lord and Chris Miller, I think, have this young energy that I think would really connect with the Han Solo character. Ron Howard, he was a good director back in the Beautiful Mind days, but nowadays he's making In the Heart of the Sea, which I hated, to be quite frank with you. And just, I didn't see Inferno, but it didn't get great reviews, so having a guy come in that hasn't gotten the best reviews as of recently might be a little bit of a weird thing. And again, his age just doesn't exactly go with his style, his like kind of straightforward manner studying these like intellectual or like, more grounded characters doesn't really fit with what I would imagine a Han Solo movie being. When they say that they want the Han Solo movie to be like a Western that's kind of snappy and has a very distinct style to it, I thought Phil Lord and Chris Miller would be great for that. When I hear a Western with style, I also think of Tarantino. He would never sign on to do one of these movies, so we kind of scrap him. But I also think of character-centric movie that has some style to it, and I think maybe Joss Whedon could come in and help out. He's kind of doing Justice League right now after the Zack Snyder tragedy and everything like that, so he's out too. And then I think, okay, director who can do style and is good with characters. Maybe Matthew Vaughn can come in, and it's like, oh, he's probably doing promotion for Kingsman: The Golden Circle. So the three directors who I immediately thought of were kind of off the radar and everything like that. But when I do think of a director who can do characters well, who's got some experience with big budget movies, and somebody who's a bit of an outside pick, but I think can relate with dynamic characters that are kind of different and on the outskirts of what we think to be normal, I think of Bryan Singer, who did 4 X-Men movies. He did X-Men Apocalypse, which didn't get the best reception, but overall, when you look at that movie, you see the Young Mutants, Cyclops, Jean Grey. They are the best part of the movie, their interactions. And if Bryan Singer comes onto this project, which I think would be an awesome call, he can get the kind of young dynamic, the fun of the movie that movies like X2 and the original X-Men had. He can have the heart of X-Men Days of Future Past, and he can have the young character interactions of X-Men Apocalypse. He's a seasoned veteran, did The Usual Suspects way back in the 90s, has worked on big budgeted movies before, and honestly, he's not doing the new X-Men Dark Phoenix coming out next year, so I think he might have an open schedule. I think if I'm Disney, I call up Bryan Singer, because Ron Howard is just a little bit of an outside pick. Bryan Singer is a little bit older, but again, I think that his experience and his gravitas, I guess you could say, would really work well with the Han Solo movie, and he's old enough to just kind of, or he's seasoned enough to kind of come in and finish the project, and not, I think he'd be able to do it and manage it without having to go back and do like a page 1 rewrite, or like day 1 reshoots and everything like that. I think he'd be able to salvage what they have and kind of piece it together and everything like that. But guys, those are just my thoughts on the situation. I'll be sure to update you as this kind of goes along, and I'd be interested to see if Ron Howard does end up directing or who they wind up getting. Be sure to let me know who you guys want to see direct this this movie in the comment section down below. You guys can go over to mymoviethoughts.com and subscribe to this YouTube channel for tons more posts from me. You can also follow me on Twitter. I am at John Hayeck. Links to all three of those are in the description down below. You guys can like this video, comment on it, share it with some friends. I am John Hayeck, and as always, thank you guys so much for watching.